So what's one thing you can start doing today that will bring you to the decade that you want? And I want you to be thinking about that as we go through these.
You can start today. Like, would you rather be 40 years old and doing the same thing that you're doing now, or 40 years old 10 years into your journey? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, Next Level University live mastermind. Today for week number 32, we are going to teach you how... 33. We are going to teach you how to make consistent progress towards your goals 7 days a week.
So I think that if you listen to our show, Next Level University, you obviously know the importance of consistency. You obviously have heard me say thousands of times probably at this point, maybe not thousands, but certainly dozens,
Many.
that The Compound Effect is my favorite book. And the reason why that is not necessarily because it's so earth-shattering in terms of the major breakthroughs, but because I believe success comes down to doing the fundamentals every day. And the pre-frame that I want to give before we dive into these is, number one, we're going to do the same format that we typically do with one new addition. The new addition is that Amy's actually going to share her screen at the tail end, and you're going to see a behind the scenes of the Next Level U team dashboard that keep us all on track. So this is about how to stay consistent and keep making progress towards your goals and dreams, and we're going to rock it.
Bada bing, bada boom. All right. So number one, Rome was not built in a day, it was built every day. I don't know who said that. I heard that originally from our mentor, David Meltzer, but it is a fire quote, and it really helps bring perspective. So a lot of the things we're going to talk about today, we have talked about. But in my opinion, this is going to be one of the most valuable masterminds we have done, because this is what Alan and I live and breathe. Okay, so a couple things. Number one, some of these things might seem a little hardcore. Number two, remember that Alan and I are very seasoned when it comes to this. So this is something we've been practicing for years at this point. Okay, so I will never forget, Taryn and I went to her family's house in Vermont. And Taryn said, hey, just so you know, there's no Wi-Fi. It's kind of like off the grid a little bit. And I was like, all right, no worries. It's not a big deal. It is what it is. I'll figure it out. Actually, that's a lie. I was actually freaking out a little bit. And I think we had a little discussion about it. But I ended up, cooler heads prevailed. And it was an absolutely amazing time. But why am I telling you this? Because when I was up there, I would literally get up a couple hours before Taryn, and I would go down to the dock. And I would sit on the chair, and I would meditate. I would journal. I would get as much of my system done as possible. Now, the point of this story, the point of this number one, is if you want to make consistent progress towards your goals 7 days a week, that means you have to do them 7 days a week, okay? It didn't matter that it was Saturday. It didn't matter that it was Sunday. It didn't matter that I was away. I wanted to make sure I was making progress. So even if I wasn't hitting everything, I was hitting certain things, okay? There's no reason if you're on vacation you can't meditate, if that's on your system. And we're going to talk about the system of success as we go down here. There's no reason you can't track your finances. You can do that from your cell phone, okay? So there are certain things that you can do from anywhere in the world, and we're also going to talk about that. But there's no reason you can't do some things every day. Do I expect you to do everything every day? No, but even 50% of your system every single day is better than not doing it. 50% is way better, and it's going to get you way more progress. Okay, now, again, Alan and I have done this for a long time. So imagine if you could just start small and pick 1, 2, 3 things that you do every day, okay? One of them could be track your finances, okay? And I've said this so many times, but track your finances, okay? That helps you when it comes to wealth. Number 2, drink 80 ounces of water. That helps you when it comes to your health. And then love. Either tell a good friend, family member, or your significant other what you're grateful for. If you did those things, and you could practice those things and do them 7 days a week, rain or shine, your life would improve. I guarantee it. Again, doing things 7 days a week is difficult. What does Dave say? Pick 5 things or pick one thing and do it for 30 days straight.
He said, yeah, try, if you want to know how in your own way you are, pick 5 things and try to do them every day for 30 days. You will be shocked at how difficult that is.
So this is going to take discipline. This is going to take consistency, and it's probably going to take you learning something that you may not have either learned or practiced yet. Again, that's what we're here for. We're here to help you to get to the next level. So my question to you is, What are you already doing every day? Because you're already doing something every day. And this is the example I used with Alan earlier. If you're on social media every day, there's no reason you can't post on social media every day if that's part of your business. Okay? There's no reason. You just have to reprioritize the time. What are you already doing every day? And also, is it helping you get closer to your goals? If not, let's switch that out for something that is. One thing to start. One thing.
One thing I want to say here too is John Maxwell wrote a book called Today Matters. And I remember when I first read it, it's just so simple, but it's so profound. He basically says the key to your long-term success lives in your daily routine. And what I want everyone out there right now listening to understand is, first and foremost, grab a pen and paper, because I want you to leave this with at least some system, some form of a system of success. It can be 4 things. It can be 3 things. It can be a dozen things. You have a unique goal. You have unique core values. You have unique beliefs. You are a unique individual. So what Kevin and I do every day is going to be inherently different than what you do every day. But there will be certain fundamentals that are similar as well. And so I want you to be thinking every single one of these line items, like, how does this apply to me, and how do I add one more thing to my system? It doesn't need to be perfect out of the gate. It's a daily system that turns into weeks, and then every week I review my system and I see what I want to tweak. Okay, so number 2, you have the day and you have the decade. I want you to imagine you are walking on land and you're in, let's just say you're in Montana, okay? You come across someone who is laying bricks, and you ask this person, what are you building? And they turn to you and say, I have no idea. Unfortunately, that's a good analogy for how many of us are living our lives. I know that before I was more hyper-conscious and into personal development, a lot of the things that I was doing, I didn't do proactively for an end state, a future, a decade that I want. So from the moment I got in that car accident at 26, I started to reverse engineer regret, to reverse engineer the finish line, to start with the end in mind. I never want to look back on my life and think I didn't use this life in a positive way. And so for you, what is your decade? What do you want your decade to look like? If you could wave a magic wand and you'd have your dream life, what would that look like? Then all you have to do is figure out what that next brick is. There's a reason why people have a blueprint of a home before they start building it. Jim Rohn says, when do you start building the house? After it's already done, after it's already designed. Okay? And then the skills of actually building is how you get there. So what could your life be like? Just imagine what your life could be like if you actually started doing this a decade ago. Okay, I remember we were interviewing one of our mentors, Terrence McMahon, and he said, when's the best time to plant a tree? And he said, 20 years ago. And then he said, when's the next best time? Today. So 10 years from now, you will surely arrive. The only question is where. And you're going to arrive in 2 locations, either an undesigned location, which is most people, honestly, or a well-designed location. I know Kevin and I and everyone in this room will hopefully land in a well-designed location because of these fundamentals. So what's one thing you can start doing today that will bring you to the decade that you want? And I want you to be thinking about that as we go through these.
Do you remember when we interviewed Terrence McMahon the first time, you pulled the microphone out?
Yeah.
And it was brutal.
And then we used the iPhone.
We used the iPhone.
Standard audio.
We have, some would say we've come a long way.
Yeah.
Other people would say we haven't come any way at all. You and I mostly. So you can plant the nicest seed and water it every day and give it sunlight, but it's not going to grow if it's in the wrong environment. Okay? And a lot of us spend time, or we expect to get results when we're not in the right environment. So recently, Tara and I had somebody from Xfinity come out to our house and fix our Wi-Fi. Okay? So this, for some reason, like twice a day, just randomly, usually at the worst possible times, our Wi-Fi would just shut off. For like 20 minutes at a time, you'd have to unplug the router, plug it back in, wait. It was unreasonable. It was unreasonable. It happened to me on coaching calls. It happened to me on consultation calls with potential clients. It never happened on a podcast because we don't really do podcasts there. But it was really, in the wise words of Kevin and Alan, it was be-jeffing.
It was Jeff.
It was be-jeffing me. So it was really hard for me to get a lot of work done there because when the Wi-Fi would cut out, number one, I'd be extremely frustrated. And as you guys know, if somebody is tapping you on the shoulder every 20 minutes, it's really hard for you to get work done, especially when all of your work is online. So as you can imagine, that's not really an ideal environment for me to upload 20 hours worth of footage, right? It literally took me 3 days to upload our stuff because it kept crapping out, for lack of a better term. Okay? You can imagine that that's not ideal. That's not a productive environment for me to be working in. That's not a good way to run a business. We're not going to be getting great results. We're not going to be making consistent progress 7 days a week if 2 days of the week my Wi-Fi doesn't work. Okay? So I want you to think to yourself right now, are the environments that I have around me set up for my growth? Maybe you need a private room to do your work or to take your calls, right? Eliminate resistance. I have a client, we actually talked about this recently, and she was talking about how her home office isn't a great environment for her to work. And I said, well, okay, why don't we decorate this and make this, like, do it right. Make this a really nice home office where you're proud to hop on Zoom calls, right? Where you're proud to shoot videos, where you're feeling like you're a next level human being, you're a next level businesswoman, okay? So imagine if you customize your environment to the best of your ability, whether it's financial or whatever, but it was a great place for you to grow. It was a great place for you to be consistent, right? You could go there and there would be no resistance, no questions. You don't know if your Wi-Fi is going to crap out. You don't know if the kids are going to come in and interrupt you in the middle of a sales call. Imagine if you had an environment like that, where it is only for growth. And my question to you is your environment set up for growth?
The only thing I would add to that is, so yesterday is Sunday, and was Sunday, and I came here. We told you it was going to be a rough
Yesterday
one.
is
Yesterday is Sunday. That's the most profound thing I'm going to say tonight. So yesterday, I came to the studio, and the thing that I love about the studio is we have this big screen right here that I can plug my laptop into. There's zero distractions. On Sunday, no one's here. And I have a big whiteboard right here where I write all my tasks out. And it's just unbelievable how much work I can get done in like 3 or 4 hours. It's not even close. I could spend the whole day in an environment with interruptions, or I could spend 4 hours here. I want you to think about, how can I get more out of less time? You don't have to be working 12-hour days. You could probably set up a growth environment, work 4 hours, and get just as much done, if not more, in that 4 hours. As a matter of fact, if you've ever read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, I hate that title because I think it gives kind of the wrong impression. That's what that book is about. It's all about hacking your environment and your life to get way more out of less time, which is a lot of what we're talking about here. Okay, number 4. If I were to ask all of you, what is the 8th wonder of the world? What would each of you say? Einstein used to say that the 8th wonder of the world is the law of compounding. So we did a money mastermind 2 weeks ago for week 31. And basically what we found out is that if you took a $4 coffee every single day and you saved that $4 and put it in an investment account that compounds 8% year over year for 20 years, you actually can buy a $66,000 Corvette. Okay, that's the law of compounding. 1% increase day to day doesn't seem like much, but over years and decades, it's unreasonable how far that can go. So, the 8th wonder of the world is the law of compounding. Literally, the example I wanted to give you for this is, I want you to imagine that each of us goes to the gym tomorrow for 9 hours straight and just crushes a workout, crushes it. We go home, we're exhausted, and we feel accomplished. It was unbelievable, okay? How much is that 1 9-hour burst of energy actually going to change our physique? Not really that much. That one time for 9 hours straight actually won't change our life at all, honestly. But if you went for a half an hour a day and did some form of exercise for a half hour a day every day, it would actually change your entire life. That's the difference between these grand acts of bravery that we see on movies and TV and social media versus the truth of what it really takes to succeed. Okay, so imagine if, again, 10 years ago, you decided, okay, this is my thing, and I'm going to do it every day. John Maxwell, he's written 70 books. How do you write 70 books? He said, well, I get a pad and a pen, and every morning at 5 a.m. I write. And he's been doing it for 40 years. So go figure, he's one of the most prolific authors in the world. Any one of us can do that. It's only a question of whether or not we will. Okay? So honestly, you, me, Kevin, we cannot even imagine what we are capable of. We drastically overestimate what we can do in one day and underestimate what we can do in a decade. And that's, again, why the compound effect is so powerful. So what is it that you want to be world-class at? And what's one thing you can do daily? Maybe it's writing books. Maybe it's podcasting. Maybe it's speaking. Maybe it's knitting. Maybe it's opening a dog shelter. Whatever it is, you got to find that thing. And if you do it every day, you will be, just by the law of compounding, a world-class expert in that thing. Imagine if you studied for a half an hour a day, one subject. You could be a physicist if you study physics for a half hour a day every day. But you can't go study physics for 9 hours once and be a physicist. And that's really the thing. It's not sexy, but it is true.
And I think it would be easy, and I think back in the day, I would be thinking this myself. I'm 30 years old. Like 10 years from now, I'm going to be 40, right? Like, well, maybe John Maxwell started 40 years ago, but you can start today. Like, would you rather be 40 years old and doing the same thing that you're doing now, or 40 years old 10 years into your journey? Okay? This one's a little bit, it's not going to be hardcore, but we're going to hit you with some truths, and we're going to challenge you, right? Because you guys want to be next level in whatever it is. That's why you're in this group, right? Is this easy? Not necessarily, but you will be grateful that you started. Okay, we've been doing this for 3 years, 4 years. I haven't been doing it every day for 4 years, probably like 2. And we've seen so many incredible results because of that. You guys can do the same thing. It's not going to be the same system that we show you. It's not going to be the same things that we do. But again, it's going to be catered to you and the success you want. And it's going to be worth it, right? It's going to be worth it. Life is not really easy for anybody, right? It's not easy, but wouldn't you rather have the challenge of accomplishing your dreams? That's my question I'm going to ask you throughout this entire presentation. So I don't know about you. I've heard a lot of people tell me that they want to be able to work from a beach somewhere while they're sipping a margarita or whatever people drink. Is that a popular drink, margarita?
Oh, yeah.
Is that a fancy beach drink?
It is.
Yeah, so I've heard a lot of people say that they want to be able to work from anywhere and they want to be able to drink a margarita, okay? They want to be able to work from a beach, from a pool, from all over the place, anywhere in the world. So when Alan and I travel, usually we bring our podcast equipment with us, okay? There's a reason we've never missed an episode, even though we've been on the road. Because when we travel, there are certain things that we have. We have non-negotiables, okay? We very rarely miss workouts when we travel. We are actually almost more productive when we travel. So when we went to Florida, I think we did 6 interviews in 7 days in a full Brendan Burchard event, and we worked out 5 times, blah, 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 whatever. When we went to Toronto to interview Evan Carmichael, we worked out. We recorded podcast episodes in the hotel room. Like, we've done that a lot. We did that in Florida. Those are non-negotiables for us. Okay, now, and I just want to put this out there. Not every part of your business might have the opportunity to get done from anywhere in the world. But the lesson I want you to take away from this is figure out what things for your business, for your system, for your progress are evergreen. What does evergreen mean? You can do it from anywhere, right? You don't need a certain thing to get it done. You don't need an office. You have your laptop. You have your cell phone. Okay? It can be done from anywhere, and it's not time dependent. You can do it whenever. So what parts of your business are evergreen? That's one of the questions I want you to ask yourself. For us, it's recording. We can record from anywhere. All we need is a laptop, and we need our microphones. We don't necessarily need the camera. We've done episodes that aren't on YouTube. Now the camera is a non-negotiable. We pack that thing up, we throw it in the plane, and we say, pray to God this thing doesn't break.
And when you leave the battery in, it might
And
explode.
I had anxiety the whole ride. I'm like, oh my God, this is my nightmare. So imagine if you created a list, okay? We call it the Daily Dozen. Again, we're going to go over that. But if you created a list where you had 5 or 6 things that were non-negotiables, you don't miss, okay? Yesterday, I took a day to myself. I didn't do a ton. I only did 50% of my work. I didn't miss my books. Every single day for the last year, 2 years, I have done at least 20 minutes of reading. My check mark is at 40 minutes. That's a non-negotiable for me. Okay, I just want to learn every day because I know that's one of the things that's made a big difference for me. And again, it's 40 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes. What are your non-negotiables, right? What are your non-negotiables right now? And what could you add into those non-negotiables to help you make consistent progress towards your goals every single day?
Fire. I remember we were on the podcast with Mark Champagne.
Mark.
And if you listen to that episode, you heard us talk about the questions we ask ourselves. And one of the questions that he started asking himself was one that Kobe Bryant used to always ask, which is, where am I negotiating with myself? So you guys have probably heard this story before, but when the gym opened back up after quarantine, I was on my way to Impact and I started tearing up. And the reason why is because it was tears of joy. I was just so happy to finally be able to make progress toward my dreams. And I promised myself that I would never, as long as I'm physically capable, I will exercise every single day for the rest of my life. Now, again, anyone can make that promise, but not everyone will keep it. I have kept that promise. Now, what I do when I do work out is only 40 minutes, and I've told you that. But there have also been times, so when I pulled my groin, I started doing walks for 20 minutes, and that still counts. I remember one time I was in the studio, and I said, Kev, like I gotta exercise. I ended up doing crunches for 20 minutes.
Bust out some quick crunches here in the studio.
I will exercise every day for the rest of my life. That is a promise that I've made to myself. The other piece that I want to mention here before we move on to number 6 is self-esteem. I think self-esteem is drastically under-talked about. You can tell when someone has high self-esteem. We all can think back. Think back to a time when you were just crushing your goals. You were killing it. Your fitness was on point. Your relationship was on point. Your business was on point, or your job. You were just a-rolling. That builds self-esteem. Why? Because you're actually keeping the promises you make to yourself. You started small and you built momentum. That's what we're talking about here. Number 6. This is an interesting one. And I've never successfully, in my opinion, been able to explain this. But I want you to think about this. It's always on. What do I mean by that? I have dated people in the past who had who weren't entrepreneurs. I'll just say that. They weren't entrepreneurs. So when they got out of work, they were done with work. If you've ever been an entrepreneur, you know that that's not a thing. There is never a moment where Kevin and I don't have something we could and honestly should be doing to grow our business. And if you're an entrepreneur, that's going to resonate so much. You have to consciously turn it off, but it's never fully off. It's like a candle that's always on. Okay? So this is about your identity. When I dated those people in the past, when they got out of work, they were done with work, and then it was like, okay, well, what do I want to do? Whereas with me, it would be like, okay, I'm going to consciously choose to give myself a permission slip to turn it off just for now. But it never fully went out. So Kevin and this podcast are kind of synonymous. We are Next Level University. That's who we are. That's who we aspire to be. And so for us, it's never really off. We're never really done strategizing about ways to add more value. We're never really done. I mean, I was at the shop earlier getting my phone fixed because my screen broke last night, and I was thinking about what we were going to talk about today. It's always on. It's never really off unless we proactively choose to kind of shut it off. And then even then, it's still running in the background. Is consistency part of your identity? And if not, why not? If you knew the value of consistency, it would be. Consistency is part of who we are. That's why we say it publicly, and we're going to get into that. But you have to kind of make it a part of your identity, whatever it is that you're doing in the world. Because if you're an athlete, you're going to have a much stronger pull towards athletics when you say, I am an athlete. Tony Robbins talks about this all the time. The most powerful force in the human condition is staying consistent with who we believe we are. We have a quote in the corner there that says, all behavior is belief-driven. If Kevin believes that he is a podcaster, he's far more likely to follow through on the podcast. And when he tells all of you he's a podcaster, and he tells the world I'm a podcaster, now he wants to stay consistent with that. I know triathletes who say I'm a triathloner. I don't say that. That's why I don't do triathlons all the time. So you need to understand, what is your identity? Is consistency part of it? And then what do I need to start making a part of my identity so that I actually can be consistent? James Clear talks about how every time you take an action, it's a vote for who you aspire to be. Who do you aspire to be? What's the identity you want? And then what are the habits that will help you be consistent with that?
Taryn and I went to open a joint bank account.
Kevin.
Yeah.
We have a question.
Oh my goodness. Hammer it.
How/why do you not burn out? My why is strong, but there are those days that being on is tough.
I would say this, and this is, and we're going to go deep here. We're going to go deep. And I think did we just do an episode on this? No, we did the live about it today. When we talk about creating your system of success, I would put something in your system of success that fills you up. Okay, one of my clients on her system of success is to take a bubble bath every night. Okay, so even when, yesterday's a great example. We talked about this. Yesterday, I took off. I consciously said, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to track this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do this. There was a lot of things that I didn't do yesterday. But that was me consciously saying, I know that if I take a day off, I'll be better tomorrow. So even though I took a day off, that was so I could be on better the next day. Now, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's basically like I'm consciously and by design taking time off so I can be better tomorrow. So even when you feel like you're burning out, then switch that on to off so you can be on better. My goodness. I don't know if that made any sense. I'm going to take off. Have a good one.
Amy, can you repeat the question for me real quick, please?
Like an angel from above. Here comes
Yeah.
Amy.
On my nose.
How/why do not burn out? My why is strong, but there are those days that being on is tough.
The answer is I do burn out. I was talking to Amy not long ago, and I basically said, like, Amy, I'm burning down. I got to redesign my whole system. And she's like, honestly, you say that every 2 weeks. And I'm like, I know. Because I redesign my system every 2 weeks. Because I'll answer it with this. I believe consistency creates momentum, which it's like an airplane, creates adversity. And when you overcome that adversity, you start to get lift. You reach a new level that you've never reached before. And guess what? All these new opportunities start coming. Problem is, when new opportunities start coming and they're shiny, you're like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, I'll do that. All of a sudden, you start losing momentum and the plane starts to crash. And then by the time you notice that it's crashing, a lot of times it's already kind of plummeting and it has momentum downward. I think life is a constant dance between expansion and refocus. We go out, we achieve, we do these things, we expand. We expand our network, we expand our skills, all those things. Then we take the learnings and the lessons from all that expansion. So like, let's say you went and travel and you meet all these people. Okay, now you have them in your network. You came back with all these lessons. Now you got to redesign your system and refocus. When you refocus, you get higher elevation and then you can go expand again at a higher level. The people that we spend time with now and have the privilege to be coached by and stuff like that are way beyond what it was 2 years ago. Why? Because we focused, got to a new level, expanded, then refocused, got to a new level, expanded, got to a new level, and we rinse and repeat. So the answer is I do burn down, and I think that's a natural part of the process. The key is, are you trying to catch the burn downs in advance? Emilia's a good catch-all for me, Kevin, Amy. Like, they often will notice it long before I do. Emilia in particular, she's like, I think, you used to talk about essentialism a lot more. Like, what are the essentials? What's essential? What's essential? Are you overgiving at the detriment of yourself? We kind of know our strengths and weaknesses, so we can catch it in advance and redesign in advance proactively. But genuinely, I don't know if there's a way to go on a 10-year fitness journey without ever getting injured. You're going to overdo it. You just got to learn and overdo it less next time.
And how quickly can you get back? I think that's the other thing, too. Like, the reason I took the day off yesterday is because I was burning down a little bit. Alan and I have really leveled up all of the things that we're doing and then the business behind the business. So let's just say there's been a lot of things going on. So like Alan said, can you avoid it? Like, there's a full-fledged burnout. After we got back from our first trip to Arizona, Brendan Burchard's event, I was in bed for like 4 days. I thought I was going to have panic attacks, anxiety attacks. I went way too far on the burnout train. Okay, that taught me a lesson. Okay, when you feel that coming on, how do we just take our foot off the gas? Because there's a difference between taking your foot off the gas and putting your foot on the brake. So like Alan said, I think it's a constant understanding of what are the signs for you? What are the triggers for you? Give yourself grace to understand, like, look, if I take a day and I come back at 100% tomorrow, that's better than me doing 2 40% days. Because #math.
That was
Alan.
Yeah.
Would you say life is a constant dance between expansion and what?
Refocus.
Okay, thank you.
I believe, imagine someone who only expands. But basically, they're variety driven and they just keep doing fun, unique things. They never find their thing and stay consistent enough to be a master and to serve the world with it. But now imagine someone who just only does one thing and nothing else. They're never going to learn new tools to bring into that focus. It's a dance between those two extremes, I believe. And I think that when you go and expand, you have new tools to bring to the focus. And then, you focus, you get to a new elevation, and you can expand at a deeper level. Network, persons, places, things, and ideas, all that.
It's like a circle.
I don't know why I'm like waving at the camera. I talk with my hands.
It's like a circle.
It's like,
all right, you ready? You ready here? Doing the snake over there. So, number 7, do not allow people in your life to create unintentional resistance. Okay? I have people in my life, I have clients who, they're entrepreneurs, and they don't have a lot of entrepreneurs around them. So their friends and family are always trying to get them out of, I don't want to say out of line, but off of their mark, okay? Off of their trajectory. It's Tuesday, it's noon, come out to lunch with us. Sure, if that's worked in, you can definitely do that. But what is happening is their family and their friends are actually creating unintentional resistance for them. They're actually forcing them to possibly use some of their cognitive energy to explain why they can't do that. Okay? So the lesson, the takeaway from this number 7 is I want you to make it known. I want you to make your personal growth known to people because people might accidentally take you away from it. I always use the example of an alcoholic, right? If you're an alcoholic and nobody knows you're an alcoholic, people want you to drink because they want you to have fun. If you're at a party, there's a big difference between somebody saying, hey, I don't drink, it's something I struggled with in the past, and a bunch of people saying, hey man, why aren't you drinking? Let's get wasted, let's have a good time. It's a big difference. And people might accidentally try to lead you to drink even though it's at your detriment. Not that they want negative, they don't want bad things to happen to you, but they don't understand that part of you. So you have to make it known, okay? So imagine if people knew exactly what you were doing, and this is just as important, and why you're doing it. Now, I think there's a level of proof for a lot of people. I don't think people understood why Alan and I were doing the things that we were doing, why we were meeting 3 times a week to podcast, why we were putting teaser clips up, right? I don't think people really understood that, but the people in my life did, the people in Alan's life did, because we made it known. Look, I'm not going back. I left my job. I left all that behind. We're going to empower. We're going to inspire. We're going to have impact on 1 billion people at least. Like, that's our goal. This podcast is going to the moon. That's our goal, right? And we planted our flag, and we will not let anybody tell us differently. But that's how certain, that's how intentional, that's how known it is. You guys tune in here every week because it's known that we're the next level guys, that we're the hyperconscious guys, that you know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get 10 things and 2 bonuses, basically every week. So my question to you, who knows what you're doing and why you're doing it and how much it really matters to you? Like, that's another thing. The people have to know how big of a deal this is for you. And if they don't, then understand that they might not know how much resistance they're bringing into your life. I'm not saying it's intentional. That's why I said unintentional. They don't want harm like done to you. They don't want to take you off your path, but they actually might not know that they're doing that unless you make it known.
I'm going to extend an olive branch on this one as well. So Emilia brought this to my awareness recently. It's actually interesting because when we first met, she was someone who had reached out on Instagram and basically suggested an episode. And the episode suggestion, which on our 1-year anniversary, she sent me the message, was to do an episode on selfish versus selflessness. And to this day, that's actually the only episode that Kevin and I disagreed so strongly on that we had to re-record the whole thing. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you don't get her, man. And this is before I even knew that she was going to be my future love of my life. But the reason why I bring this up is because she brought something to my awareness very recently about that. She said, what if what is best for you is what's best for everyone else? And basically what I've come to in this new awareness is if you have goals that are not just for you, but are for the world, that are congruent with your spiritual mission, and you have behaviors and habits that are good for you and for others, and you have core values that involve others, and you have beliefs that empower all those others, why is it that me doing what I believe is best is bad or somehow selfish? I think that's a reframe that all of us can learn from. Because let's say I went back to some of the old persons, places, things, and ideas like drinking, that I know some people would really like for me to go do that. If that's outside of alignment with my highest self, and that's my choice, me not drinking is actually a good thing for me, but also for everyone I help in the future. Because it's going to help me be smarter, more on point, healthier, happier, more productive. So what if you being in alignment with your highest self, even though so many other people think that's selfish, is actually the most selfless thing you can do. That's just something I wanted to
Mic drop.
to bring over to your awareness.
We want to give 10 minutes at the end, so we have 12 minutes to hammer these next 4.
Thank you, brother. Number 8, ordinary is average. Okay, number 1 soft drink in the world is Coca-Cola. Number 1 restaurant in the world is McDonald's. Average is ordinary. Ordinary is average. The story that I want to give for this is interesting because I think that, who was it that I heard this from? It might have been Jim Rohn who said this in a speech. He talked about how there's nothing more frustrating than trying to have an extraordinary life without wanting to be an extraordinary person. And so I think that it's important for every one of us to sit there and question and say, okay, if I want an extraordinary life, don't I kind of have to do some extraordinary things? In other words, what's ordinary is drinking at a wedding. What's ordinary is, hanging out on a Saturday night instead of going to the gym. What's ordinary is watching Dances with the Stars. None of those things are bad, but they are ordinary. And so when Emilia and I, on a Sunday, every single Sunday, we do what's called dream building. And I remember it was one Sunday, and literally her and I had a 5-hour whiteboard session about mathematics and finance and real estate and the global economy. And it's not about her and I, but I remember sitting there thinking to myself, like, when our future is really bright, are other people going to see that we whiteboarded for 5 hours on a Sunday when everyone else was hanging out? They're not going to see that, and that's okay. We don't need them to. My question is, you have a silent observer. Like, are you watching yourself? I like Netflix too. I have some bad habits too. I'm not judging. But I do know that if I want an extraordinary life, I better be willing to do what it takes to be an extraordinary person. And so you have to kind of aspire to be different. Emilia and I go to the gym on Saturday nights. We love it. Why? Because no one's there. Why? Because Saturday night's not when you work out. We love to do what's different. We love to be different. In high school, we're all trying to fit in. Fitting in is for the birds. You're unique. Stand out. You want to stand out. Be outstanding. And so the question I want you to want to leave you with on this one is, where am I trying to fit in that's actually jeffing me? Where do I want to be extraordinary? And where do I have to start doing the extraordinary things in order to become an extraordinary person?
Bada bing, bada boom. Think of it this way, guys. If you're in Next Level Nation, if you're in these mastermind groups, I bet you're fitting in this crowd and you're standing out from all the rest of the people in your life. You might not be understood. You might feel like people judge you. People might think personal development is this woo-woo thing, right? You're fitting in a place that isn't average, that isn't ordinary. We don't want ordinary. We want extraordinary. And that's what we love about you guys. And you guys can be your unique selves here. Number 9, I'm going to lead with a question. Imagine if you got the opportunity to talk to somebody that you look up to so much, somebody who is crushing it in what you want to live, and he basically told you suck. Imagine how that would feel. So number 9, you're the boss. At the end of the day, you're the boss of your dreams. You're the boss when it comes to making consistent progress towards your goals every day. Okay? Alan and I were invited down to an event in Florida by our buddy Eddie Panero of Your World Within. It's called Your World Within Live. I don't remember what it was, but we're at this beautiful hotel, Margaritaville, right on a beach. We're on like the 13th floor in this unreasonable venue. Okay, we do it. Evan Carmichael is there. He speaks. The next day, we go down to the hotel because Evan is doing a meetup. Okay? Actually, no. Let me rewind. So that night after that event, after the speech, all the speakers and our significant others and some of our friends and the team members, we went down to get dinner. And Evan Carmichael sat next to us. Okay? Sat next to us, pulled out our laptop at the dinner table, was going through our YouTube analytics. And he said, hey, I want you guys to make new thumbnails tonight. He's like, I know it's been a long day, but you guys live for this, right? Like, I want you to make new thumbnails. If I see you guys tomorrow, I expect these thumbnails to be done. So that's what he says to us at the dinner table. So Alan and I go back to the hotel. Alan decides to go to the beach. I tried to make the thumbnails. I didn't know how to do it. So the next day, I believe it was me, Alan, Devazio. There was a bunch of people. Amy, Taryn, Tiff. There was a bunch of people. We went to this meetup that Evan Carmichael was hosting. First thing he says, "Hey, boys, you make your thumbnails last night?" And I was like, "No, like what happened was I didn't know what to do." And Alan, and he's like, "Honestly, man, that's BS. Like you could have showed up with something." And this is Evan Carmichael in front of people, like in front of a bunch of people. And I very much look up to this man. So the lesson is you have to stop making excuses. Like Evan took no crap from me. He didn't care. He's like, "Kev, this is what you guys do, right? You want to be the best in the world? Basically start acting like it. Don't make excuses. I don't care that Alan went to the beach. You should have figured it out. You should have came to me with something." And I told Alan this was going to happen, and Evan was going to yell at us, and he's like, "No, I mean, he's not even going to remember." Yes, he is. And he did. Okay? So
That's my bad.
no, it's okay. Imagine, and guys, this might be the biggest one for me, the biggest thing that I want to instill in you guys. Imagine if you understood how important these things were to your long-term success. When I don't do something on my system of success, I am saying to myself, you know what? It's okay. It's okay that you're leaving your potential on the table, right? It's okay. I know it takes 5 minutes to post on social media. It's okay that you want to skip that today. Like, that's hard for me. You're the boss of your future. You got to start acting like it. And I know it's hard, and I know some days, we're going to make excuses. Everybody makes excuses. I make excuses. Alan makes excuses. But how often can you turn those things into progress? All right? This is my question for you, and this is a hard question. Are you okay with letting yourself down? Because every time you make an excuse, you are. And honestly, your future self, you're letting them down too.
I think it's important to note here that it's not picture 0% and 100%. It's no one's 100% on point with the promises they make to themselves. No one. It's how close to 100% can you get? It's are you making promises and are you bettering your best every day? More percentage, more percentage, more percentage. You're never going to hear, literally, now or in the future, you're never going to hear Kevin and I say, "Oh, we're done now. We're awesome. Like we're doing our full system. We have 100% days every time." The moment I have a 100% day, 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row, I know that my system's too easy for me. I want to level up. It's just like at the gym. If you're squatting 135 a decade from now, you're not exactly getting any better. So there is no such thing as perfect days, but there's more percentage, more percentage, more percentage. There's bettering your best. Number 10, this is the most important in my opinion. We just did Kevin's most important. This is what I think is most important.
They're tied together, believe it or not.
They are. So you have to have a measurable system. And that's why we're all here too. And so everyone, hopefully you have pad and pen out and you've been writing down different ideas. The key here is you got to track your progress. Tracking keeps you on track. And so, in a few minutes here, we're going to show you how our team does it and how I do it with my clients. It's peak performance tracking. You've probably heard of that, PPT. So I have what's referred to as a purpose macro flashcard. It's in my pocket right now, and I track the reps. So I've found out in advance, okay, oratory is very important to me. What does oratory mean? It means speaking. So I want to move people and inspire others with my words. That can be coaching and consulting. That can be podcasting. That can be speaking. So if I want to be in this industry and I want to influence as many people as possible to help them change their lives, which is what I'm doing right now, I'm going to have to put in the reps. Okay, so mastery is a simple formula. Prep. We prepped for this speech. Okay?
Hopefully you
this
can
mastermind. Tell. Yeah, hopefully you can tell. I'm not sure if you can. We prepped, then we do the rep. After it, we're going to reflect. We're going to literally call the team, Amy and Tiff, and we're going to talk about what did you like, what did you dislike, what could improve. Likes, loves, and dislikes. So what did you like, what did you love, and then what can improve. So prep, rep, reflect, perfect, rinse, and repeat. I have a flashcard in my pocket. I just surpassed 500 coaching and consulting calls. We're about to surpass 500 podcast episodes, and I've done over 100 speeches. And I would consider this somewhat like a speech, so this counts for me. And again, it's my numbers, my critical numbers. It's up to me what I count and don't count. The question I have for you is, do you track your behavior? If you want to be the best physical therapist in the world, or the best physical therapist you can be, so let's get rid of the world, okay? If you want to be the best physical therapist you can be, you have to track your reps. And then what I used to do is I do last rep, next rep on my flashcard, okay? So number of total speeches given, last rep was Mass Maritime, next rep, schedule it. I do that with podcasts. I do that with coaching and consulting. It keeps me on track. Again, How do you know whether or not you're making progress if you have no system of success? And again, we're going to show you how to do that. But I want you to ask yourself a simple question. Where am I expecting results without tracking a system to get me there? It's like, imagine a GPS that doesn't work. You plug in an address, but there's no system to get you there. There's nothing to keep you on track. You're just taking back roads. That's what a lot of people are doing. You want to be a millionaire, you want to be wealthy, you want to be financially free, you're going to have a system that you dial in every single day.
Boom. All right, 2 bonuses quickly, and then we will have Amy screenshot and do all this stuff with the system so you guys can see what it's all about. Bonus 1. Everybody starts at 1. So when Alan and I partnered up together, I remember we tracked the podcast listens. Wasn't hard because there wasn't a lot of them. So some days we'd literally wake up and there'd be 4. Like last episode, 4 listens. Cool. Right?
Hey, 4 lives changed.
4 lives changed.
That's fire.
4 lives changed.
Got to start somewhere.
This is, when it comes to making progress towards anything, it is a marathon, not a sprint. Okay? We got 4, and then we got 8, and then we got 16, and now there's some days where we have thousands I wake up the next day, thousands of listens, okay? That all started with 1, and then it went to 4. My question, so a couple things. Number 1, I want you to imagine if you could detach from the outcome. This is very important that you find something that you enjoy, because it would be very difficult for us to continue doing this if we hated it. We weren't getting any results. Like, why would we do it? We love the process. We love talking to you guys. It doesn't matter if one person shows up. We're going to give this, and we're going to give it hell every single week, right? We do. We've showed up every single week, and we're not going to stop.
33.
But it's because we love it. It's not reliant upon the outcome, right? We could get off here, and you guys could message us and say, that was the worst thing I ever experienced. I appreciate your input. Thank you very much. We'll try harder next week. That's all. Like, it's not going to make us stop, and it's the same for you. It shouldn't make you stop. Let me see if I can read this. Oh, are you getting your happiness? Are you basing your long-term success on your current results? Because if you are, you're not giving yourself credit for what you're capable of accomplishing in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Okay, if we quit 4 years ago, we would have been the guys who said, yeah, we were only getting 15 downloads per episode. It just wasn't working out. It just wasn't working out. And that's always the advice we'll give you guys. I don't ever want to forget what it was like to be like that, to be early in the journey and have nobody listen, because that's where a lot of people are. That's where everybody starts. So if you come to me and say, I'm only getting 20 downloads per episode, good. Like, good. It's better than what we started with, right? Here are some tips. This is what I would do. Get back to me in a year when you cross 100 episodes, because that's the way. It's going to take time. That's an Evan Carmichael thing right there, for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of Evan Carmichael, he said that it took me 5 years to get 7,000 subscribers. I was watching a video that he did years back. It had 2.5 million views on it, and I was talking to him later that day. It was a trip. But the thing is, he just stayed consistent. 3 videos a day, every day for 6 years. Any one of us can do that. Who will do that, right? And that's the acorn here. Okay, so speaking of acorns.
Strong work. Great work.
Thanks, man.
Great
so
work.
Bonus number 2, know your acorn. I like this story. Jeff Bezos, 1994, was going to financial investors with Amazon.com. I don't know if you guys have seen that image of him in his office. It's like a terrible office.
Oh, yeah,
and Amazon.com is in the background, and it's just in
written
shambles.
Written on cardboard, I think.
Right. And they said, what's the internet? Okay, Amazon.com is now one of the most successful companies in the history of the world. And what people don't know, and Bezos still talks about this, is that the acorn at Amazon is a simple idea. My goal from the very beginning, I don't care if we were selling books or now we sell everything, is to help someone make an online purchasing decision. That's why One-Click exists. It's to help it make it easier to help us make a purchasing decision. That's the acorn. The acorn grew into a mighty oak because even though in 1994 he asked for financial investment and people said, what's the internet? No one's really questioning Bezos anymore. But nobody sees him back then when they're like, what are you doing, man? What do you mean? Like, you're going to start an online business? Like, what is that about? Right? That's the thing. We just can't lose sight of that. Go back to that if you need it. So choose your majors, and that's really my point here, is I decided 6 years ago that oratory, moving people with my words, communicating effectively was going to be my thing. And I've spent every single day with that as my circle of concern. That's my main focus. And so what's yours? And also this last piece too, give up your ego about the other stuff. I don't need to be good at cooking. I don't need to be good at fixing my car. I don't need to be good at fixing my iPhone when it breaks last night. There's other people who specialize in that. I went and got it fixed, and I paid handsomely for it to get fixed because I don't care about whether or not the iPhone, I'm not into that stuff. That's his passion. And that's awesome. He runs a thriving business. We might work together. He might end up being a client. The point is this, give up, have a give up list. Everything we just taught you is useless if you don't pick a few things and stay there. If you try to do these 12 things with everything, you will burn right to the ground. I've tried. I used to want to be good at everything. Now I used to want to be good at can jam and snowboarding, and I wanted to be the best at everything I did, whatever. And that was an ego thing. I got rid of that. I don't need to be the best at everything. I need to be the best at my thing, because that's what's going to have the greatest contribution to others. And so what's your thing? You got to find it. For Kevin, it's podcasting, and it can evolve. Don't be afraid to pigeonhole yourself. It can and will evolve. Okay?
Amy, would you mind taking us to Google Sheets? I'm going to grab the laptop and bring it down here so we
Sure.
can see it, because we're not going to be able to see it on the big screen.
Okay. Yeah, let's
I'll
do
just
it.
make sure it's not in the shot.
Cool. So Amy's going to take us through the Next Level You team dashboard, which you can see right there. Okay, so Amy, honestly, if you could just explain what each section is, that would be fire. We'll kind of narrate and jump in and out as well.
Okay. So this first page is just like the charts of everyone's productivity, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Look at Amy.
Amy's beating
everybody.
I don't know.
Right.
Kevin's
we
giving
don't need to comment on mine.
Kevin's giving her a run for her money.
All right, these are the top 25 Jeffings that have become the top
That have
57,
become like 50.
57 Jeffings.
There's a lot of Jeffings.
This is
There's a
basically all the things that we need to improve in our business.
All right, then we have, the team deliverables. So this is just everything that we want to get done before our team call every Saturday.
Yep. So we have a
like-
weekly deliverable.
Yeah.
Each team member has an acorn as well. If you go to the top, see how it says acorn?
Yep, right
Right.
up
So
here.
mine, long-term vision,
Oops.
long-term strategy, that kind of thing. Kevin. So
Just kinda
again,
hang
we
out.
all have our acorn, and then we have our system. And this is the important piece for you guys because that's why you came. So let's show them. Amy, do you mind showing your system? Is that cool? Because yours is a lot prettier than mine.
Sure.
Mine is kind of
Do we?
boring.
Okay, yeah, I guess we can skip all the other ones that are on there.
Give them what they came for.
Okay, so this is Amy's system of success. And so this is her daily dozen. And again, it doesn't have to be a dozen. It just has to be your essentials. And it needs to be customized to your unique core values, your unique goals. And these are the things that Amy has identified as the most important 12 things for her to do daily. Now, as you can see, she doesn't have perfect days all the time, especially lately when she just started a different job as a physical therapist. So, Amy, do you want to talk to what it's like to have a system? I mean, talk to us about prior to having a system of success when you used to just wing it, because we're all guilty of that. We all used to wing it and wonder why we don't have results versus what
Sure.
this has been like for you.
Sure. All right. So yeah, I mean, you basically just kind of took the words out of my mouth. Before I met Alan, actually, I don't even know when we started doing PPT, but before we started doing PPT, I would kind of just like wing my days and be like, I feel like sleeping in until 9:30, and then I'll go and hang out outside and play can jam or whatever, and then I'll go to Target and walk around Target for an hour and a half and just not be productive with my day. This has really helped me focus more on the, like you said, the things that are the most essential, the things that I really want to get done every single day and that I'm like determined to get done. And it helps me kind of schedule out my day a little bit, and I can weed out the things that aren't as important, like spending an hour and a half at Target, even though I love Target, and spending like sleeping in until 9:30 and all that happy jazz.
Happy jazz.
Something that's really important to mention here is that in the absence of important work, everything seems essential. So when you don't have big goals, it's very easy to allow the thousands of things on your phone. You can play Call of Duty, you can play Angry Birds. Like, if you don't have important work to do, it's very easy to get distracted. But when you have a system that is focused on the essentials and the top leverage points, that's customized to you and your life. I remember And again, I can't see it from here, but journaling's on there.
Yeah. Do
Daily.
you just want me to read them?
Yeah, please.
All right. So I have my morning routine without social media, personal gratitudes, journal, my daily intention, next level nation value add / engagement, social media response, next level you, MVT. So that's just like a me and Alan thing. Clean / pickup, exercise or go to work, 30 minutes of personal development, connect with growth-minded friends, and self-care.
And the other important thing too is this is based on the rhythm of her day. So it starts from the left and goes to the right. And even if you get a 20% day, that's okay. So the other thing too, so MVT actually means most valuable tasks. So Amy and I have a most valuable task that we'll do for the mission, for the business. But everyone out there, you just figured out how to make consistent progress towards your goals 7 days a week. Do you have a system that's going to keep you on track? And the other thing I want to mention quickly before we go here is this thing, Amy, how many times has this system changed since you started doing it?
Way too many, like a lot. And honestly, it has to change again because there are some things that I need to take out for sure.
Right, because we all evolve. And as we evolve, so does our life. So, so she just got a new job as a physical therapist. Her system has to change as she has. And so I redesign almost every week, at minimum bi-weekly. And that's okay. I know that sounds overwhelming, but imagine executing against a system and then tweaking it. I do this with my clients. It's like, okay, what needs to change? What in your system needs to change? Some of them are tiny tweaks. Some of them are a complete and utter revamp. I've never found a more valuable productivity tool than this. Some people's goal in life is to rest and relax. If that's your goal, then this isn't for you. If your goal is to make positive change in the world and to become the best version of yourself, there is no question that you're going to need some sort of a system to help you do that.
And understand this too, and James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits. A lot of people, when they see something like this, they're like, I don't want to be that structured. I don't want to be that disciplined. I don't want to tie myself to something. Discipline now will give you freedom in the future. Okay? That's just the way it works. If you want a next level life, I know Alan believes, this has changed my life. I can't even tell you how much. Like, this is one of the reasons I am the person I am today. Again, you can start with 5 things. You don't have to have 16 or however many Alan has, right? You don't have to have that many. Start with 5, build the habit. Add another one, build the habit. You can break them up into health, wealth, and love. Start with 1 each, right? Like, it's more important to get the momentum rolling. It doesn't matter what the painting looks like at the beginning. It's going to be far better than it would be if you didn't do it. You can reach out to any of us. We can definitely assist you when it comes to this. This is an absolute game changer. But I know a lot of people see this and say, I don't know. That's a lot. I promise you it gets easier. And if you want freedom eventually, this is an amazing way to do it.
It's your system. So these are your choices. Make it as big or as small as you want. And if you need help, let us know. Amy, I saw a question come through. I think it was Taryn.
Oh, hold on. Can I stop sharing my screen?
Oh, yeah.
Please.
Okay.
And thank you for doing that, by the way.
Yes.
Oh, you're welcome.
I can see us right there. It's close.
Oh, yeah. She just asked what the colored columns representing your essentials list. No, I just like the color coordination. I think it just makes it look pretty. It's
Ours is brutal. Yeah. Ours is mundane. Yeah. Just black and white, just regular font. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to go because we're going to be late if we don't. There's a few more days left. We're doing a giveaway, 5 $50 Amazon gift cards. If you want to be entered, all you have to do is leave us a review on the podcast app, screenshot it, send it to somebody on the team, and we'll enter you into that. We're going to pick 5 winners December 1st. Do whatever you want with the money. Happy holidays.
Connect with each other here. Happy Thanksgiving. We hope you all have a wonderful week, and let us know if you need anything. If you want help designing a system, please reach out to someone or on the team. The whole team knows how to do this. It's definitely our bread and butter, so let's rock and roll.
We don't have fans, we have family, and we will see you on the next one.
See you at the next level.
Let me do me.
Talk to you soon.